In this video, we're going to talk about street side travel agencies, which are the agencies that have a store at a street level where you can walk in and buy tickets and ask questions and talk to them at a counter or sitting down at their desk. These are different from office agencies. Office agencies tend to work on larger packages and events and group packages, and they do quotes via email, and they don't usually have customers walk in and to buy an individual ticket to an experience. So let's hop over to the center of our mind map for the travel marketing strategies and tactics for tourist attractions and experiences. Before I continue, click below to subscribe so you can get all the tips on how to promote your tourist attraction. And we're going to zoom out a little. We're going to go into the B2C offline marketing efforts. And we're going to scoot all the way up here. And we're going to zoom in over here to street side travel agencies. So how do they work? They usually need a little bit of training, right? So when you show up and make a partnership with them and you get them to resell your travel experience, you will need to do a little training with their staff to explain. And the best way to train is to do a FAM tour, a familiarization tour, where you invite them to do an experience with you, and you want to get as many from their travel agency as possible. Even if they have a lot of employees, you want all of them to show up for your experience, live it, and then they can easily sell it. They can sell it if they've lived it. If they haven't lived it, it's a little harder to sell. They won't be selling it cordially. They won't be selling it with their hearts. They'll just be selling it from what they read. So the FAM tour is the first thing that you want to organize. You want to pamper them. And all these street side travel agencies, and some cities have a lot of them. You want to pamper all of them, everybody, all the employees that show up. You want to explain as much as possible and tell a few stories. Stories are very helpful because a lot of people remember the stories you tell and not the facts. You want them to have as much fun as possible, because if they have a lot of fun, they'll be able to sell it a lot easier because they'll be transmitting all that fun in every sentence they say when they're selling it. And what are the KPIs for a FAM tour? Well, it's basically how impressed was the travel agent. And that's not a KPI because that's not an index, but it's a sentiment, it's a feeling. And if they're very ecstatic about it, you will know. And that's the feeling that you're going for. They want them to be wowed. One thing to remember is that these agencies live on commission. So they're going to take their cuts and then send you the remainder, or they can, in case it's you that charges the customer, then you have to send them their commission. You want to send it regularly and punctually. So you don't let it roll over to the next month, even if it's just $5 or whatever it is. Do send it every month, because it'll basically show that you're serious about paying out commissions, even if you're sending just $5. They'll appreciate that and respect you for it. You might want to consider some quotas. There's the ladder quota and there's the reverse ladder quota. The ladder quota is the one where the more they sell, the more their commission increases. And there are cases where you want that reverse. So the more they sell, the smaller their commission, especially for something that has limited tickets. For instance, a show to see a big artist or to some very exclusive party where there's a lot of demand for the ticket. You will want to set the commission higher if they get less tickets, and then lower commission if they want more tickets. Because why is this? Because you want to spread out your tickets around to all the street side travel agencies and other distribution channels, and you don't want to give it all to one travel agency, because that might backfire in the future when next time you're doing another event and all the other travel agencies that you said no to won't want to work with you anymore. So the quota is something that you might want to consider. And the commission rate. The standard commission rate for tourist attractions is 10%. That's the standard. It doesn't mean that it's the rule, especially for more competitive tours. like walking tours or sightseeing buses, the standard rate might go a little higher if the financial math permits. If it doesn't, then stick to 10%. That's what most concierges, travel agencies, and everybody else who distributes and sells tickets are used to. If you pay less than 10%, you better make sure that your tourist attraction is in high demand. For instance, Eiffel Tower, London Eye, Hancock Building in Chicago, the Rockefeller Center in New York, all these in high demand attractions, they pay less than 10% just because they can. There will be people selling and willing to sell it, and it's easy to sell. So a lot of street side travel agencies sell so much of them that they're okay with just receiving 5 or less percent. So conversely, hard to sell or competitive tours, 20 or 30%. So the next thing is ticketing. How are you going to give out a ticket? Control entrance and paper tickets. Is it going to be paper ticket? Is it going to be a virtual ticket? Or is it going to be a booking call center, a WhatsApp or a chat where the travel agency will call you to make sure that there is space in the next cooking class, that there is space in the next Jeep tour, where there is space in whatever, right? This is not a problem for museums or parks where they have a large capacity, but for instance, nightclubs, they definitely have that problem where you might want to check to see if there is space available, or if there is. Same thing for restaurants where you want to check to see if there's a table available. So you want to have this call center working very well, because if it isn't, and if your staff isn't well trained, all these distribution channels, including street side travel agencies, concierges, everybody, information kiosks, will just stop working with you because they'll know that you don't have a professional call center set up. So what is a professional call center? One is that you want people replying, if not 24 hours a day, at least something close to that, at least 16 hours a day with fast replies. Second, you want a script and an FAQ sheet with your staff at the booking call center, because people will call with all kinds of weird questions. Like, for instance, is the museum handicap accessible? Does it have ramps? Are dogs allowed? They'll ask, are you allowed to bring food, or is there a concession stand? So all these questions should be here in your frequently asked question, and also the way you talk and reply to the requests should be scripted. So you should have a standard, hello, this is so-and-so from the museum so-and-so, or this is so-and-so from the cooking class. Would you like to book a class, or how can we help you? So whatever it is, you might want to develop a very well-defined script so that your staff at the booking call center, and you have to remember that the staff at the booking call center tends to have a lot of churn. So you might be going through a lot of employees over a short period of time. So the script will become very helpful for them. The other thing that you need to consider is who's going to be your oracle, right? So who's going to know all the answers to all the questions? And it could be you, could be your business partner. Maybe there is an operations person. Maybe you don't want to be bothered, and you'll send all questions to the operations person, or to the sales director, or a salesperson. So you want someone to be defined as the oracle for all types of questions, because you will be getting all kinds of weird questions. Most questions are about availability, but every now and then there is something. Does your cooking class work with peanuts? I can't because my husband is allergic to peanuts. There'll be those types of comments where you will need to confirm, and people won't book them until that's confirmed. And also you might want to have a calendar and FAQ page, right, that you can send to the travel agencies and information kiosks and concierges, but you don't want to just reply saying, here, check this out. You want to reply their question, because they're going to have a specific question. You don't want to send it just yet. You will want to reply to their specific question. And then after they're okay with they don't have any more doubts, then you can send them the calendar and frequently asked page, because you don't want to force them to read a whole page because they're not going to memorize this. You just want to send this over and say, hey, in case you have more questions, you can find it here, but you should always contact us, or you can always contact us directly with your specific question. Because this, if you just reply saying, how are you today? Here is the frequently asked page, they will be insulted because you didn't even try to reply to their question. You just sent them a link. Also, another thing to consider for your booking call center, especially for phone calls and WhatsApp and SMS, is that you might want to have 1 or 2 or 3 cell phones at your company for the different channels that you have, for the different distribution channels. So one cell phone would be for street side travel agencies, another cell phone would be for concierges and hotels, and the other one would be for information kiosks, right? So this way, and maybe a fourth one would be for your ads. So maybe on your ads, or maybe in magazine ads or travel maps, you will have a phone number for people to contact. This is great because then you will start to measure which distribution channel is producing more bookings, or at least questions regarding bookings. So you'll understand which distribution channel is working best. So you might want to get a few phone numbers, a few chips on different devices, different phones, so that you can be always replying. This, of course, is cumbersome because then you might have to walk around with 4 cell phones in your pocket just to always be available. But if your company is slightly larger, where you always have someone on site, then the booking manager or the sales manager or the booking or the ticketing office can have those cell phones lying around and always be replying to the different distribution channel questions. Also, as far as ticketing and paper tickets and virtual tickets, you might want to step away from paper tickets. They don't have the advantages of virtual tickets. The main advantage to paper ticket is that if your attraction has an almost unlimited capacity, for instance, it's a botanical garden where you can fit 50,000 people and you usually get 5,000. In other words, you're never at capacity. Then a paper ticket might be best because then the street side travel agency, they can just sell the ticket, hand over the paper ticket, and then the customer, the tourist, can just walk over to your park, to your botanical gardens, and just walk in, right, and showing the paper ticket. And then at the end of the month, you can visit the different travel agencies and then tabulate how many tickets they sold, right? That's one of the main advantages to paper tickets. But for a lot of the other tourist attractions, especially for tourist attractions that have some type of limited capacity, the virtual ticket can work well because that can integrate with your stock control. Your stock control is what's going to tell the system, the virtual ticketing system, how many spaces are still available, right? So how many spaces are still available for tonight's cooking class? 2 tickets, So then if you have a virtual ticket, it will only allow the sale of 2 tickets. And if someone shows up 3 minutes later trying to buy a ticket, it will say sold out and you won't have overbookings. So the virtual ticket, and there's a lot of systems for virtual ticketing. There it is, Bokun with an N, Bokun. So more bookings, less work. So then you might want to check this out and give it a try, especially if you do have a lot of distribution channels, because then this can coordinate and control the stock available for your tourist attraction. Also, one thing to remember, people that work at these street side travel agencies, they're human. they're always out there selling. They work a lot. They deal with a lot of tourists, and every now and then doing something for them, like inviting them for like a company dinner or a company barbecue, or once a year doing something for them is worthwhile. They do have to interact with a lot of people, to make their money. It's a very cumbersome sales process. So doing something for them will be very useful for your company, because after all, it is a contact name and you want to be in the top of their mind. So whenever someone shows up in their travel agency saying, what should I do tonight? They will remember your restaurant, your bar, your lounge, your nightclub, instead of just pointing, for instance, to a map of options or a web page or whatever it is, whatever tool they use to give all the options. You want to be at the tip of their tongue. So show up, show your face, do events with them, and then this will eventually pay back handsomely. So that concludes Street Side Travel Agencies. I hope you found this video useful. If you'd like to receive more, just hit subscribe. That will keep me motivated to keep on producing more videos like this, so that you can get more and more content on how to promote your tourist attraction. Second, visit mindmap.works so you can access links to resources regarding all the tactics covered in this video. Thirdly, contact me at chris@mindmap.works with any question. We can try to reply directly by email, but if it's more complicated, we might set up a consulting hour or two. See you in the next video.